Hello.
Hello.
Why don't you stop shaking your head? I mean,
Wow.
welcome. This is episode 103 of the NgoVo Convo podcast where two stupids make
Two.
There's two. Rule
You
two.
and me.
Make a... Alright?
Hype. It's hype.
It's more hype today because I'm one of your hosts, Harrison L, and I'm joined by Veronica Vo. She's over there. Just look over there on
He's
YouTube.
that way.
Or if you're just listening, just know we're bad at directions. But
Yeah.
if you're new here, we just want an excuse to talk about anything that ranges from anime to comics, but really to just keep up with our never-ending backlog. But we don't talk about that. But we do, because some would say, we're conversing.
Wow. Like NgoVo Convo. NgoVo Convo.
But right above my head. Good job.
Simple
I'm
as
glad you
that.
could spell, Veronica. Good job.
Me
good
too.
job.
Me
Because
too.
yeah, because I can't spell once in a while. You're right.
Yeah.
But regardless, you can watch every episode on youtube.com or listen to it as a podcast by searching up NgoVo Convo and NgoVo Convo on your podcast service of choice.
Wow. We're
Dude.
everywhere.
We're all 10 plus of them.
Pluses.
All pluses. All
I
plus
feel like
services.
we're throwing each other off right
we
now.
are, yes, 100%. Actually, I'm trying to throw you off more, if anything.
But I'm throwing you off
Stop.
just as much.
This is not a competition. We don't point fingers here. Because in this episode, Veronica, we're going to be talking about what movie? The Spider-Man
Wow.
Across the Spider-Verse?
Oh my
Or
goodness.
what did they call? No. We'll talk about that in the
Wait.
next. But if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, granted, this episode's dropping a little bit after, so maybe you watched it this past weekend. Otherwise, yeah, it's out in theaters.
Yeah, it is.
It's really good.
For about probably like a week and a half now.
Yeah.
By the time this drops.
Yeah.
Almost
about-
2, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scheduling's weird.
it is.
Because I just said this past weekend, and I was like, wait, no, is this dropping this?
No,
it
it's
should be.
yeah. It dropped this current weekend that we're recording.
Don't worry about it.
Harris is bad with timelines. It's okay.
Yeah.
Ironically, as we're talking about.
We'll get into that. But yeah, go ahead and give that a watch. Give this video a like so you could just save it for later because that's what I do.
Yeah. The incorrect way, but yeah, go for it.
That's I'm just gonna keep going. But we're just gonna get ready. Or no, we'll talk about non-spoiler thoughts and then we'll get into all the meat
Oh, the meat.
and potatoes. Getting a little hungry,
Potatoes.
but it's fine. Veronica, what did you
Harrison,
think?
I
Where
was
do
really
you sit?
excited.
You were excited. I was
But-
also excited.
This movie is 5 years late. 3 years late.
3 years
but
late.
5 years in the sense that the first movie came out in 2018.
Yeah.
And then this just came out in 2023.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
But I was really excited. Everyone has been hyping this up for the last 3 years. Obviously, due to COVID, it was delayed by a lot. And I think they also had to reshoot or revoice some scenes. So maybe that was another part of the delay. But I was really excited for this movie. It is so good.
It's really
10 out of 10. And we never do ratings. We only recommend. And if we ever
we try
do, we'll try to, yeah. But this is literally a 10 out of 10 movie. And everyone's going to be like, oh, but it's animation. It's for kids. There's nothing serious about it. And I'm like, no.
If
but
you're
there's
still
a lot
saying that,
Yeah.
this is the second movie.
Yeah.
Go watch the first one.
Yeah.
I hate when people do that.
I
But-
know. But I mean, there's a lot of underlining themes here. And it was just so good.
It was really
And I just cannot believe where this first movie started, this second movie, and how the storyline it's just interesting. It's
Oh,
funny.
it's still going.
It's
but,
still going.
Going really good. They're doing all these.
Yeah.
We'll
And
get
it's about Miles. So who doesn't love Miles?
could talk about that in the.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, because there's so much going on. But
There's so much.
I agree.
Harrison, what do you think?
I really like this movie. I I want to rewatch it again because
Oh, me too.
I will say it's kind of like the first one where they drop a lot of like stuff because multiverse, Spider-Verse, and I think I want to rewatch it again just to actually watch the movie, because I think the first time around, every time I do this with stuff that like has so much like history and so much like content,
You're like really
I am
concentrated.
trying to check out
Yeah.
everything I can. Well, one, so
Yeah.
we could talk about this on this podcast, and two, just because I was geeking out super hard. Like,
Oh, your brother and I were like just like
the amount of times I like me and my wife just like point at stuff. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's it. Oh, did you see that? But then I'm like, wait, did I miss anything? Oh no, I still get the idea of the joke.
yeah.
So
No, I totally understand. Your brother and I were like geeking out too. We're like, oh my god.
yeah, I 100% recommend people to watch this, and I think
If you're a Spider-Man fan, like
there's
true
so
fan,
much.
There's so much
in here.
just so
And
much.
I say this as like, well, dang it. No, we'll leave it for the
no, we'll just
spoiler
yeah,
section.
yeah,
But yeah, there's so much in here. So much is good. I think the pacing initially was kind of weird, but like it all wrapped up and it made sense.
yeah.
Like,
I could see where you were going with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know initially my wife right now, she's like, she still likes the first one, but I think it's because the first one felt more cohesive and you could end it there. While this one's now, I will say it's probably the in-between movie, but it's still done super well.
Oh yeah.
Like like what Veronica mentioned, they explore a lot of themes, and there's so much, and I think the usage of like colors, music, it's just done so well. Animation's still amazing, and if anything, I think they went even more ham.
They did.
Right?
And if you have any like seizure issues, this movie's not for you.
This is not for you. I will.
Definitely not for you.
I didn't even notice, but yeah, my wife pointed out that they did have to do. They usually do, but I guess for this one, we finally paid attention and we saw like they give a warning.
Yeah.
And then the moment it started, I was like, this warning was needed.
Most definitely. But it's so like comic-esque.
Yeah.
And
they even put on the seal. Did you notice like the comic seal? They even did that. I was like, damn.
And then the thoughts were just like super comic-y. And,
yes. They do. Yeah. Okay. They go even more so they did it in the first one, I believe, on certain parts. But it's just, if anything, it just was nice to see again.
Yes.
And it was just cool to see like these little tidbits of like, because they would point out like, let's say like someone had said something and they're from like, it's slang. They explain the slang.
They explain it, yeah.
And I was like,
or like translating it.
Yeah. And I was just looking at it, I was like, oh, nice. But did you feel like it was long?
No.
Because I looked at the time.
I didn't.
I looked at the time. I was like,
movie.
it's like 2 hours and I think 16 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't feel like it was long at all. But
Yeah.
for an animation movie, when you say it's 2 hours and 16 minutes, that is super long for an animation movie.
The first one. Yeah.
I think the first one was about 2 hours, right? Maybe an hour and a half?
The first one was 1:40.
Oh, okay.
So they
almost
upped it.
2 hours.
Like,
They
yeah,
upped
it's
it.
almost. They upped it on this one.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of content, so I see why they have
Yeah.
upped it.
And they were more detailed on a lot of stuff. But I think
Oh, yeah.
overall, I think this is good. We can talk about. Did you have any gripes? Non-spoiler gripes?
I don't think I did, just because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
But I will say the pacing was weird at first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't understand it. But I don't want to call it gripe because they did like kind of a full circle
It
how
it made
it's,
sense.
Yeah, working. So I wouldn't call that a gripe, but more like a misunderstanding from the audience view until you finish the movie. But no gripes here. Do you have any?
No.
Or did you see any?
That was the only thing that I could point out to as like initially it was weird, but then I got it. Like the
No,
pacing.
yeah.
Otherwise I loved, like I mentioned, I loved the music. The music soundtrack's so good.
I need to
Soundtrack's
download
so
it.
good. Yeah. And
like
the
your
art
brother's
style.
your brother's a big soundtrack guy.
He's
like,
very into music. Like he
he's
pays
very
attention to music.
Yeah, so he's paying attention to it. And we were talking about it. He's like, oh yeah, now I have to split Spider-Man, and now Spider-Verse. Like, you know, it's like,
If
oh boy.
anyone sees like how he organizes his stuff, it's actually really crazy.
Yeah.
And it's So I knew the moment I listened to it, I actually did think about how he would break this up.
He's breaking up to Spider-Verse now.
Because it's so good. Like, again, soundtrack, the music usage was so good, sound design and everything. I think the one thing I really loved was how they handled color and animation.
Yes.
Color tones was so important in here. Was so important in this movie. And that's the thing that I was like, of course I would pay attention, like, to the plot points.
Especially with emotions. You can tell, like, light, dark, like, how they were feeling was how light it was or how dark it was.
Yeah.
It was really
That
good.
was, like, the basic one. But the trend, like, they would... Yeah, if you watch... Like, when you watch this movie, just don't pay attention too hard. But you'll have moments that you realize, oh, they just did that. And it was really seamless and it was just beautiful. And that was like the one thing I wanted to give props. It's like the art style and the color usage was just so
it was like, really good. No, I agree.
But all in all, yes, we love this movie and we would like to get into spoilers, right? So
yes,
I'm gonna give that countdown of 3, 2, 1. Last chance. Because there's so much in here.
Very last chance.
All right.
Okay.
You guys out? Okay, we're in. So
okay. Everyone out.
I'm going to do the whole thing. So there's so many Easter eggs, and we talked about this before. We were trying to figure out how we're going to address it. We're going to leave it at the end.
Yes.
We're going to leave it at the end, and we're going to see what each other caught. And I'm sure we can go online. I think, because online you can see a lot of stuff, but I think let's just see how attentive each other was for this one.
I feel like you might have been a little bit more attentive.
Think it's you, but
we'll see. Really?
Yeah, so we'll see. All right, but before that, dude, I want to just point out the villain. Oh, I should have mentioned this in another one, but actually, no. I didn't want to.
No. You didn't
the
want
villain,
to.
how they prepped and how detailed this Spot, right? Freaking Spot initially was just a joke of a villain and legitimately a joke.
Yeah. The villain of the week.
And did they ever I forget, did they allude to him in the trailer? I didn't get a chance to look.
No, they did
And if
not.
they did, it probably could have been like a super quick thing if it was in one of the trailers.
Miguel was, I think, the villain in the trailer.
Yeah, and he is for this movie.
He's kind of an anti-hero, in my opinion.
Well, no. I mean, in this movie, he's the antagonist at some point. Even though, like, Spot, like, you could tell he's the reason, but Miguel for this movie, I would say is the anti. Yeah. Because at first, I was like, oh, how are they going to handle this? Because, who's the big bad? And then, lo and behold, it's freaking Spot.
You mean the bagel guy?
The bagel man.
Dude, the scientist that yelled out bagel in the first movie.
I can't believe it.
In the background of all the Spider-Mans. And I'm like,
okay, when he was talking to Miles, he's like, this is fate. I was like, oh, this is just for dramatic effect. It's like a joke. Yeah. But then they point out, oh, yeah, Miles is the reason why he changed into that spot. Or into that, like, essentially just dimensional villain. Mm-hmm.
And you know what was so interesting? So, like, when we said earlier about pacing was weird, obviously we all know that Spider-Verse is going to be with Miles, but it was from the point of view in the beginning of Gwen. So that's where Harrison and I were like, oh yeah, like the pacing was like initially weird because it was from Gwen's point of view, like her verse and her world, her story. But then it kind of goes into like, transition from Gwen to Miles was really good too. But like, yeah, that story where it just starts up with Gwen and then it's just like, panning into Brooklyn, into Miles, like story and world. So I think that's where like initially it was kind of weird, but like it ran full circle with how it started, how it ended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a feeling they were just trying to. Initially, I was like, "Oh, cool, we're getting Gwen's backstory," because everyone loves Spider Gwen. Like, because Spider Gwen was very under the radar, but I think was still a fan favorite. So, I just figured, okay, cool, this is a good way to introduce her backstory, but then also, introduce Miguel O'Hara, and then Spider Woman, and then like.
I love Spider Woman. Oh my god, she's a hoot. Funny. She's so funny.
She is so funny. I love, so good.
I love how it's like, you're pregnant? And she's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I thought she was going to talk about the bike or something. And she's oh yeah. Yeah. Just, like, however
she's like, don't know the gender, but he's corny like that. And I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. And then, so the pacing was just, I didn't think it was, initially it was just weird. I'm like, okay, I just wanted to know where they're going. But by the end of the movie, it made all the more sense. It made more sense. All the more sense. But going back to the whole thing, they did a very good job with transitioning and giving the arc, or Spot's arc and how he is so good.
And it was so surprising because he starts off as this, like, obviously villain of the week, as Miles has said at the very beginning. Like, he's just this guy that's kind of like figuring out how to be a villain. Spot, well,
he's
really?
Like, oh, I'm gonna try to steal from the ATM.
Yeah, and he like still doesn't know how to use his power.
Yeah,
so he's kind of like fumbling really
a lot
with his power. But then the arc of him just like figuring out what his spots did and what he found out
can do
or whatever was great, because I did not expect Spot to be this big of a storyline for Miles at all.
No.
And you just think about it, the bagel scientist guy, like, really? It just starts right there, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah. And again, they downplay it so well initially to subvert your expectation. And you're like, oh, yeah, this guy's just not going to do anything. Oh, shoot, he's actually the big bad.
Yeah.
And he's going to be in the next movie because of that.
But I just love how at the beginning Spot kicked himself into his own hole.
Yeah. I was like,
oh.
I had to like sit there and pay attention. I was like, did he just kick himself?
Yeah.
I think he tripped him. Did he kick? Oh, what?
The whole audience were like, oh, because like there's a lot of men there. He like literally kicked himself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you felt it, and I'm just.
I actually didn't catch that until like maybe I thought about it. I was like, wait, I think he kicked him. I thought he just kicked himself in the butt or something, like pushed himself in. But no, he like knocked himself out. I was like,
yeah. No, but yeah, it was so good.
I think that part's amazing.
As I was watching this movie, I didn't think about Spider-Man's like story. Like I didn't think about people dying because of him, or like certain people dying in certain stories.
The amount of times people have died around Spider-Man, and this is why I think people relate to Spider-Man as a character. One, he has normal daily tragedies, but he's also dealing with normal daily life. That's the whole shtick.
That's his shtick, yeah.
Yeah. But the movie points it out, or makes it a point to address like every version of Peter goes through tragedy. Every version of Gwen also is the tragedy, goes through tragedy, or anyone related in that.
Yeah. And it's crazy because Miles, the only thing the tragedy that he went through was his uncle, right?
His uncle.
Yeah, which is like different, I think, especially with like Peter and Gwen and even Miguel and they like everything, but it's just not the same. And I love that the twist was at the end because you were just sitting there wanting more.
And they dropped it. They mentioned it as a point. They're like, oh, that spider that got you wasn't supposed to be from the universe.
Yeah.
And they just dropped that, and it's oh yeah, you're an anomaly, like and all that stuff.
Little crumbles.
And do you remember when Miles Morales dropped as like was Spider-Man in the comics? Do you remember how they announced that?
No.
So, or like when they did you ever hear the reactions?
I did remember the reactions.
Yeah. So sorry, that's what I was trying to go towards. Like they're like, this is what? Oh, he's just gonna be there for he's just temporary. That
he's temporary.
You know, Peter's gonna come back and blah blah.
Yeah.
Nope. And this is why I was like kind of. Yeah, they call him an anomaly, and I still remember when they first announced him as the new Spider-Man at the time.
The new Spider-Man, yeah.
And
people
it was
were going crazy.
Going crazy.
Yeah.
Because they were like, what? No. How dare they? Like, because people love Peter so much. That's the issue. But this is like
every version of Peter.
Yeah. Every version.
Every version.
But no, so this movie, I love how they just point out how, like, yeah, he's such an anomaly. And it's like, but their twist on it is like, the Spider wasn't supposed to even be from the universe. Or his universe. It
was from a different one. Yeah, it was from a different one.
It was meant for that Peter Parker.
And I just love seeing all the different Spider-Man versions. They were a hoot to follow.
Do you have a favorite? I do.
I do. I actually love Ben.
Ben Reilly, right?
Yes!
For those that don't, he's like essentially a clone. And so if he's depressed, it makes sense because it's the whole typical like clone doesn't like, it's like, oh, I don't know who I am. I'm angsty, blah, blah, blah. So they just went in 100% with that. But they made him brooding and like semi-Batman like and depressing.
Yeah, very Batman like. And has like horrible anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's just so great. I think Ben was my favorite. But I think my favorite world was going to be Mumbattan.
Yes.
That was great to see.
Okay, can we're approaching Easter egg stuff, but it's all because it's all this multiverse stuff. And so Mumbattan was like Act 2 essentially at this point, because Act 1 was Gwen and Miles. I would group that as Act 1.
No, that was Act 1.
And Act 2 was dealing with like that and
essentially just the Spider-Verse.
Essentially
really.
Spider-Verse, yeah.
Yeah.
Mumbattan is really fun. It was really cool.
Dude,
but
it was great.
I love multiverse stuff like this where they just do a little twist. And it's exactly just like comics where you just make a little twist. It's like, yeah, there's Spider-Man in this universe. It's like essentially India. It's like New York.
Yeah. India's Manhattan,
yes.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
No, it's so great. The different versions of Spider-Man, it was, especially in that room, I was just like, there's about like 300 of you right now.
Oh, in just the lobby?
In the lobby, yeah. I was like, there's not like 300
Small ragtag group, you know?
Yeah. Oh, no, not that tagline.
She said it. She was like, "Oh, we're kind of a small group where it's not that many spots." And you walk in there, and you're like, "Something's up."
Is it really small? But I think I was feeling like all the feels because there's a lot of like 90s Spider-Mans in there, and just like it was great. It was great to see all those versions. Yeah. And the chasing.
The chase scene was animated
good.
so well. My God. We've name dropped him a lot, but Miguel O'Hara. So Spider-Man 2099, what'd you think? What'd you think
he is such a douche.
He is.
But I love him. And I love his butt.
Oh my God.
Dude, they panned into his butt
multiple times.
Four or 5 times.
Yes.
And if you just go watch it, because it's very round. They did that on purpose.
They did 100%.
No. But I love Miguel's when he first got like introduced, he's like this like wide, bulky man. And then he starts talking to Oscar Isaac. So you're just like, Oscar, what are you doing here? But my favorite quick reference from Miguel was actually for Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange. And that he
like
gives
that
a different number.
Nerd. Yeah.
But he gives a different number. So, do you remember? I think this dropped in the trailer though, and people were like discussing and arguing over like how does that work? Because initially that movie they gave, or Multiverse of Madness gave the number, right? They're like, oh, that's Earth 616 or something.
616, yeah.
But then it's really not.
No, it's Earth like 199.
Yeah, it's like
some. But I just love that quick reference. It's like Doctor Strange and that little nerd.
Little nerd. Don't even. They also read the.
That was probably my favorite reference. It's just like because it just speaks to like Tom Holland. Yeah. And it just happened.
But like their thing is like, oh yeah, they ripped the space time like multiverse threading and all that shit. But it was just so good. I was like, that's so funny.
And Miguel and just Peter Parker and his kid. Oh, it was such a good dynamic.
It's so fun to hear Jake Johnson do like the Spider-Man. It's just Spider-Man. Such like it's essentially Peter, but like not Peter, right? It's like it's the Peter vibe, but not.
But it's not. Yeah. It's too adult to be Peter.
It's because
in a sense.
He is adult. He's adulting way more than like the typical Peter Parker, and it's just. But it's so funny. I love how he's like, all Spider-Man have like some kind of sense of humor. They talk a lot, but no, you don't even crack a joke.
Or his daughter just like climbing on like Miguel. Miguel's just like
so cute.
Holding on.
but it showed Miguel actually knew how to handle kids.
Yes.
At the same time though, I was like sitting here like, he's like just holding and doing stuff, but he's actually had a kid.
Yeah.
He's dope.
Peter Parker is like paria hoot because he's like he has a daughter.
Yeah.
And she is the cutest little Spider-Man. He was like, I should have never bought her this because she's now like slinging like what?
Has a little mask on and just puts it down.
Oh, it's a hat. It's her hat.
I know, no, sorry. Yeah. It was a hat that like makes into like a half mask.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. She is so cute. But I think that dynamic was great to see as well. Just all the dynamics of all the Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. And did you notice where we got to see Miles' point of view? Like the camera was Miles at some points in the fights. I was like, wow.
Like running through, it's wild.
What he sees. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, because he was looking at all the Spider-Man at some point too. Oh man. Can we? I want to just drop it again because I loved it so much. The color usage in here is so crazy to set tones. Because like I think the biggest instance was like it was the most obvious one. It was like Gwen and her backstory with her dad, and at the end like she's like penting up with like all this rage and all that, and finally, but the color starts like changing to like a lighter color, and it changes to her thematic colors.
Yes.
Just to find out like her dad still like loves her and like all this stuff, blah blah.
Yeah, I thought that was great, but also speaking of like animation wise, like. All the different Spider-Mans have different animation style, and I thought it was great that they could still communicate but keep their original state of animation.
Yeah.
Like hobby.
Like overall.
Yeah, like overall.
Like Spider-Punk?
Hobby. Yeah,
Spider-Punk. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's like a very like black and white, like newspaper-esque kind of like comic-y vibes. But then you put him next to Miles, who's just like this modern day kid, right? And you could just see
the differences.
Yeah, and it was great because every time Spider-Punk would touch something colorful, he turns into that color scheme.
Yes.
But keep his like animation the same. It's just he just peaks like the color peak. Oh, it was so good. It was great. And all like the 90s like Spider-Man, like they kept their forms.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good.
I think the Spider-Punk was the most apparent on like the different styles of animation.
Yeah.
That's the thing I was thinking of, is like, oh yeah, that was the most out there.
Oh yeah.
But then like other ones you would occasionally see like, oh, they would keep like give it a different style or like a quick like, I don't know. Because before, this is what I was trying to tell my wife before, was the only one that was out of place in the first movie was the anime-esque one. But
Yep.
everyone else was kind of similar in style. Like maybe like they would do certain
the
things.
linings would be different.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
But they've had time. They went harder on like that detail on like just this movie.
No, which I find really great.
Yeah. There's so much to talk about this movie. Yeah, we'll do it. So there's two more things, two more points I want to do.
Okay.
So what do you think of Spider-Gwen's whole thing? Because actually, I can see how people would feel like, oh, it's a mix of her and Miles, but I feel like it was already the case.
I felt like it was already the case.
It was already a case from movie one. Sidebar: can we just talk about how time skip actually does change people, like very slightly?
Yeah.
Like, well, Miles is the obvious, like, grew up, but like everyone else grew up as well. But with that, so Spider-Gwen, I think was really cool. I think where they're leading her, because it was also like, I think it was just 3 story arcs.
No, 3 story arcs, yeah.
Because it dealt with Miles, her, and then I think Miguel O'Hara is the 3rd one.
Oh no, he definitely is, because he has his own story and background, like
because
why he's doing it.
Yeah, they gave it on purpose and everything, and I think the other Spider-Man, like the one that we know with a kid, that story's done. He's just kind of the mentor. I love the mentor thing, by the way. It's like, you're a bad mentor.
Like, I'm a bad mentor, but
I must
showed him this.
I must have been a good one if he could do that. She's like, oh my, or like Spider-Man was like, you suck as a mentor. He's like, well, he beat you, so I must have been good at that.
And Miguel's just like, no, you both suck.
No, how about we say you both are equally sucky, equally bad.
Dude, Miguel is like a wide man. I cannot get over it. I was like, this man is so wide.
I love how you keep coming back to that.
Yeah, no, it's like the butt. He's wide. That's all I really took out of this movie.
Big talking points. Big butt.
Yes, big
wide
butt.
Man.
Wide man. The end.
But yeah, no, I think I like how they're leading Spider-Gwen into like this other role, because that's the part that I was like, okay, that's cool, because it was the arcing, like she started with a band she doesn't vibe with, but then now she ended up with the group that she vibes with. The group,
yes,
the actual group, because even the group that she was trying to be with didn't match. Like, you know, I thought that was a cool arcing. Yeah, no, I like that arcing really point.
Yeah,
they even brought back old people.
They did.
Like Noir, Spider-Man, and then
yes, Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham. Man, so good. Now the last part, the last twist. I want to get into this because it leads into the new one. Did you see that coming when Miles is trying? You know, because the whole thing was him trying to run back to his time to save his dad.
Yeah.
Because no, I want to leave I want to leave Miles as like the last talking point before Easter eggs. I like canon events, and I like how they address it.
I love canon
because
events.
Those are like essentially what is it called?
They're
they call it canon events, but there's like other points like in MCU where they call it like
oh yeah,
like an
it's
anchor
like a
point,
disruption or something.
Yeah, they always play with this, or any show that plays with multiverse or timelines and stuff. They always have like these fixed points that you cannot mess with, right?
Yeah,
and I love that. For Spider-Man, it always has to be some kind of tragedy.
There's only that one person that always dies.
Yeah.
It's like a captain, Uncle Ben.
Or like a significant Gwen, MJ, Peter, like any of the big characters. And it's always fun to see how they don't ever point out Miles. Because he's an anomaly.
I was thinking about it, like I said, in non-spoilers. I was like, I did not... Like, I know I love Spider-Man, but I didn't think about his canon event being that.
Yeah.
Like, I always think about it as him getting bitten.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like, I never think about that.
It's always the start.
It's always
but then there's always like a Ben that dies.
Yep. Gwen, MJ.
Or some kind of
Captain.
I think the Uncle Ben one is like super hard coded in a sense. Where like then there's always this second one.
Yeah.
Which is the one to talk about, like the captain or like Gwen or like
someone important dies.
Just someone important dies. Another important person dies, and that's supposed to jumpstart the. But it's like it was crazy, like you mentioned, to see every Spider-Man reacting the same as if they know.
And I mean, Miles overreacting.
And he's like, I'm supposed to let my dad die? And that's the funny part was like, I sat there, I'm like, actually, his dad's supposed to die. Oh my God.
He got captain.
Not just that, but his dad was supposed to.
He's supposed to die, yeah.
It's usually supposed to be just him and his mom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's wild.
I know.
Now we can talk about Miles and that. Because now he's trying to get back to his universe after hearing about his dad, like, supposed to die. So, yeah, of course, he wants to save his dad. I mean, I saw that coming. I was like, oh, his dad's supposed to come. Because if his dad's freaking out. Oh, his parents are so hilarious at the beginning. Typical.
They are.
They're like new gen parents. They're like typical new gen parents. And it just shows.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really true. Yeah, so I think I didn't expect the twist of Miles ending up in the wrong universe.
I started suspecting that when Gwen went into his room and it was empty. Because I was like, he's supposed to be here.
But color was important on this one, too.
Color was really important on this one.
Again, that's why I was like, ooh, if you noticed the color was already different, you knew he wasn't back.
Yeah.
Because they kept jumping to Miguel, Spider-Gwen, and sorry if you hear a train, that's on my end. Spider-Man, or... Miguel, Spider-Gwen, and then Miles. Like the color, you just think it's just different areas, right? Initially. Like just the area in Brooklyn. Then you start realizing, oh no.
They're not. And then Spider-Woman was with Gwen.
Ben was too.
Yeah. Well, our little anxiety Ben was. But yeah, no, it's just. Like Batman.
Like Batman.
No, but no, color scheme was really important because where Miles actually ended up, it was a much darker tone. And it was just like his uncle was back.
They did the typical like, oh, in this universe, of course his uncle will be alive because because in his he was dead. Blah blah.
He was dead. Yeah, but it was just like eerie because I wasn't sure who he was going to meet.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh, he's gonna just meet like another Spider-Man or something, like an evil Spider-Man or something. No, but I was like, this twist is interesting because it's himself.
And it was interesting. So he went back to the universe that his spider was from, and that's how they always determine it. It was like I guess is you never knows how it determines where your spider is from. Yeah, because that's of course if you were Peter Parker, you would always get bitten.
You always
but
get bitten.
Miles wasn't supposed to. Blah blah blah. I didn't think about how they would go to his Spider-Verse just to find him, but it makes sense because they kept talking about like that universe. A universe can get screwed over if something bad happens, and that universe did get screwed with no Spider-Man.
No Spider-Man. But we did get an evil. Well, not evil, but like.
Got an evil Miles.
Kind of an evil.
We got
Miles,
the Prowler alternative.
Prowler Miles. Yeah.
Man, they baited us though, and thinking like the uncle was Prowler again in this one.
Yes.
But he's like, it's not me. I was like, oh.
Throws the
moment he says that, I was like,
yeah.
I was like, Miles is oh my god.
I was like,
because
I was scared.
Because Miles was already existing. He's like, oh, what's with your dreads? But it's wild.
No, that was really good.
So now
it kept me on the edge of my seat. Yeah.
But now who's the big bad for the next one?
It's gonna be Spot.
What if they do another and it's actually him?
I'm so curious on how this arc of Spot is going to be with Miles. Spot versus Miles, basically.
Because it's already happening, right? Like Spot's invading.
Yeah.
Oh no!
And Spot was white at the beginning, and now he's black with like white
spots.
What? Yeah, spots.
Oh, white dots. Yeah,
dots.
because they're smaller. Yeah.
But he was like white with black dots, and now he's inverted. He just flipped the. It's color schemes are good.
Color schemes are good. It's so simple, but it's so good.
It is.
Can't wait for the next one.
Oh, me too. It comes out next March.
Yeah, next year. Hopefully no delays, but last time was just delays because of the pandemic, so it's all good.
Yeah, pandemic. Yeah.
All right, Veronica.
Are we getting to Easter eggs?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know how we're going to do this. I didn't think this far ahead. It's okay. You know what? Let's just go through what we saw. Let's just go back and forth. Okay. What was your biggest Easter egg that you thought was cool? Let's do with that.
I love. Okay, there's two, but the one that I love the most was
one.
Tom Hardy's Venom universe with Mrs. Chen talking to Spot, and casually. I just love the conversation because Spot's like, "I'm like not supposed to be here, and you're not weirded out. Like, does this happen a lot?" And Mrs. Chen's like, "Yes."
Yes.
Because if you think about it, her and Venom and that store is just a classic.
Gone through so much already.
They've gone through a lot.
This is another. It's just another Tuesday night for you, isn't it?
Yeah. And then he's like, "I'm gonna take this gum," and it's just. I thought that was like one of my favorite Easter eggs. So I'll just go with that. Yeah. Since you said one. Yeah. What was yours?
It's also a toss up for me too.
Okay.
Between the two.
Okay.
But I think my absolute most favorite one is the Lego one.
Yes.
Or it's not even an Easter egg, but you know what? It's not. But it's
but
beginning the multiverse. It's okay. Easter egg is probably not the wrong. It's the wrong thing to say.
No, it is
kind
an
of.
Easter
No,
egg.
an Easter egg because
No,
it is a Spider-Man property. But anyway,
yeah.
So it's just funny to see. I was like, oh, he just came into the Legoverse. Oh no, they're freaking out. But then it zooms in on like Spider-Man, like on Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Peter Parker.
And he's just like, oh no. And he's like walking over to the bathroom and then talks to Miguel O'Hara. He's like, oh, it's happening here. He's like, oh, thanks for notifying. You're the one of the best of us. And I'm like, the Lego one is.
No, but you know what I love? I just love the beep beep.
Beep beep.
I thought that was great.
Stop motion is just so funny. And they just went all in with the Lego one.
Oh, they did. That was a really good one.
Yeah. I thought that was the one I lost my shit. I was like, this is amazing. Because I like Legos. I'm like, this is cool. No,
that was a really good one. I think my next one was going to be Donald.
That was my other one.
That was
dude, I lost my shit when Donald Glover showed up.
Yeah.
It's what people wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, sorry. People originally wanted him as the Miles Morales, but
yes.
I think age-wise and stuff, it just took a while, so finally they just made him the uncle, or Miles' uncle
which they spoke about in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Homecoming, yes.
As like an end credit or like a final scene or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Donald dressed up as the live action Prowler. He was caught. He's like one of those people that got caught. And I just thought between Miles and Donald talking, it's just so funny to see because Donald is like the uncle, supposed uncle to Miles in like live action. So I thought that was just a great conversation. Donald's just like, why are you looking at me? Why are you staring at me?
It's rude to stare.
Yeah. That was probably one of my also.
That was the other highlight that I liked.
Yeah.
They showed off the PlayStation Spider-Man.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it was a little bit before or after. I think it was before Donald Glover, but they showed that. I also thought it was funny how sidebar. I like how Miles' roommate had like a glow up.
Yes, he did.
He got muscular.
He got so big.
He got beefy. But also playing on the PS5, playing the Spider-Man game.
Yep.
I was like, damn. That was another little Easter egg. I was like, dang, that was good.
And what I noticed from there was there's this famous soccer player that loves Spider-Man.
Yes, the poster.
There's a poster of him,
dude. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, yo, he's on here too. Yeah, he loves Spider-Man. Duh.
He loves Spider-Man, and I was just like, that's a great way to add in fans, like famous fans, into a movie.
Yeah.
I think my next one was going to be I was going to start talking about they were talking about the canon events, and they zoomed in on a lot of my favorite people. I think Andrew Garfield. They zoomed in on him, and I was just like, oh, it's my baby Andrew.
They zoomed in really hard on that, but did you notice they also showed Tobey Maguire's?
Toby's, yep.
Yeah. Now I don't remember if it was like canon or if it was just like at one point they just showed the world and they showed multiple scenes.
Like the little webs, yeah.
Yeah, the webs.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was so good.
And then there's it was the animated one. I think they showed the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that one was just more 3D, right? It was 3D, 2D.
No, it was 3D. Yeah.
It was like that 3D, 2D one. But
yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. Because I think that was the longest running one. Or it was the most, or it was the one that people like the most. Yeah. I mean, my famous one is different, but it's.
You know what? Yeah,
it was like the Amazing Spider-Man. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Amazing Spider-Man.
They showed J.K. Simmons, right? Or
yeah, in the Lego. He voiced the Lego, right?
Or
did they show him too? I thought he voiced it. And
then maybe he just voiced. No, he just voiced it. You're right. No, that's what it was.
Yeah, he just voiced it.
I can remember if you saw a little tidbit, but yeah, he voiced the Lego one for sure.
Which is famous for him because that's all he does.
In the Daily Beagle. Yeah.
Yeah. The Daily Beagle.
The Daily.
That was great.
I love this movie so much.
I know. Penny Parker.
Yeah, they brought back Noir, Spider-Man, and Penny Parker.
Yeah. Spider-Ham. It was great.
I might have missed this, but the IT one. I say IT, but the super techie one, the Spider Bite, I think is what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice how, and I need to look into this because I could remember her and Miles had like a long moment.
Yes, they did.
And I was like, did they date or something at some point? I can't tell now at this point. Or they have some kind of history and it's like, oh, dang, I can't tell.
They might have history.
Yeah, I need to look into that.
Because she paused because she was supposed to reboot the machine, the system.
Yes. Yeah. No, she joins up at the end. At the end, she's a part of the group.
Oh, yeah. She probably just went with her gut.
Yeah. I mean, anyone that's hesitated to go with their gut, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then each Spider-Man or each one of them is just a Easter egg at that point too. Like Scarlet Spider is the obvious one because Ben Reilly. Spider-Girl, the daughter.
Spider-Girl, yeah. Spider-Woman. There's just a lot of spiders.
Like Spider-Man's. Spider-Cat was funny. Spider-Rex.
Dude, the spider meme was so funny. Miguel's like, find Spider-Man. And they're just like, no, all like 300 of them or something. They're like, you.
Beautiful.
It was great. Oh yeah, Spider T-Rex was a hoot because the way they like animated him and he does the chomp, he like chomp.
So good.
So good.
Did you? Oh. The Williamsburg. I can't say it all. Williamsburg Bank building.
Williamsburg. Yes.
They use that all the time.
Yeah.
And I love how they brought it back in this one as well. Because I mean, that was mainly the most recent one was it only Toby's? I don't remember.
I think it was. I don't remember.
Oh no, sorry. I say they use it all the time, but like I think that's actually known for Miles's spot, like his spot. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Not that they use it all the time, but they always use the place that Spider-Man just sits and chills.
A high place.
A high place, sorry.
Yeah.
So I like how they use that for Miles, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. We're getting like that the little things out here. And then the last one I thought was interesting was no, actually no, that was it. We already talked about that one. No, I thought there's a lot of quick things, and this is also why I want to just rewatch the movie.
Oh, me too.
Like just to go through stuff and just see all these little things. It's just so good.
No, it was just it was great. I can't wait to see all of them again.
I can't wait.
I just need to know where Ben went. So Gwen like took his little watch and like smashed it. So I was like, where did our little anxiety Ben one go?
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm excited to see where like how Miguel like kind of navigates through all this too.
It'll be interesting. Like this is all like I can't wait to see how they tie this up. I hope they only do 3 movies. So
Me too.
I
think they will. I think they can. I think they can
too. I just hope they don't do like, or if they do more, just do an offshoot or something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree.
We'll see.
I'm excited though.
I'm excited
for the rest.
too. This is a lot. We've talked. This is the longest we've talked in a while.
Yeah, I
hyped
know.
about this one.
But we were just super hyped.
Yeah. But that's all I got.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Go watch it. If
Just
you
go
made
watch
it this far, just go watch it.
Just go watch it. And actually, if you made it this far, you probably did watch it. I hope.
Probably did. Yeah. If not, go watch it.
Question mark. But
Question
on that
mark?
note, I'm just gonna close it out because now I'm really confused. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at NgoVo Convo and NgoVo Convo. If you're on YouTube, give us a comment. Like, let us know what Easter egg you like the most, or like what part you like the most, because there's so much to happen here. Or if we didn't mention something that you noticed, just give it a comment. Also hit that like button if you didn't already, because you could save this video for later again, because you're gonna go watch it.
Yes.
So let us know. If you liked it, thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Easy. On that note, yeah, just let us know how we're doing. What you want to see next. What you want us to watch, play, read, listen.
Wow, everything.
Because I like listening to audiobooks more than... Anyway. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.